Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today we are going to be talking about my newest knit dress, but also 5 tips for working with Viscose Spandex jersey. I've got 5 specific tips for this type of fabric. But before we get into that, today is Friday, which means we have a Future Friday pattern for Love Notions, and today's pattern is the Melody Dolman. A really fun button up the front shirt, collared shirt, camp collar style with grown on sleeves. I think it's camp collar, or is it a collar and collar stand? Now I can't remember. Anyway, it's got a grown on sleeve. It is a button up shirt. Really cute, tight in the front, worn as is. I have made it before for my daughter and I can't find pictures of it. Otherwise I would show you. I did like a matching outfit for her, like a matching shirt and shorts. Anyway, she would wear it tied up. It was linen. It was really pretty. But anyway, I have no idea why I can't find pictures. Anyway, it is Feature Friday, which means it's $6 today only. And when you use my code GIDGET10, you can get an additional 10% off that sale price. Okay, so add that to your catalog if you don't already have it. All right, let's talk a little bit about Viscose Spandex jersey, why you might want to work with it, some tips for working with it. But as a reminder, I have got a free ebook on my channel on working with knits. So if you're someone that's new to knits, period, I have some really great tips and tricks in that free ebook, and I will leave a link to that on down below. Or you can just go to my tomcatstitchery.com and scroll down the main page just a little bit, and there's a form where you can fill it out to get the free ebook, the knit ebook. But it's got some really great overall tips and tricks for working with knit fabrics. But today we're going to be talking about 5 specific tips for Viscose Spandex jersey. And I'll talk a little bit about what that kind of fabric is, what that means. But before that, let's talk a little bit about my new dress. So this is my newest knit dress, this in a Viscose Spandex jersey. This is the Cashmerette Irving top paired with one of the Cashmerette Grafton skirt bottoms. So the Irving was a Cashmerette club pattern in May, I think, maybe. You only have access to that now if you do their all access tiered club. Their club, which I pay for with my own money. I absolutely love it. I actually have a coupon code to get you $10 off your first year of that over on my website, tomcatstitchery.com/resources. Don't forget, anytime you're looking for a coupon code, the current Love Notions coupon code, any coupon codes, those are always over there and they're up to date on the website. So it's a great place to look if you're doing any shopping. But I do have a coupon code for the Cashmerette, both their club to get to their all access club, as well as just their general pattern collection. And their general pattern collection includes the Grafton, which is a knit dress that is like quite a few different knit tops, as well as different skirts, and you can mix and match them for basically any knit dress of your dreams. Or you can make them into t-shirts as well. There's multiple neckline views. It's really a great bang for your buck pattern. And again, I do have a 20% off that pattern over on the website, or you can click the link down below, but over on the website for the coupon code for that to get the 20% off, tomcatstitchery.com/resources for that. Anyway, the Irving was meant to mix and match with the Grafton. So the Irving is this just really easy tank top. It is lined, fully lined, and then it's got these optional little ties that you can, they're removable, so you just untie them so you can have them on there or not, which gives just a really cute little detail and makes it look like a little tie dress, which I think is really cute. It comes with a gathered skirt that goes on to the bodice. But I wanted to try something a little bit different. I love my full Irving. And I already had the Grafton, so I chose the circle skirt from the Grafton to tack onto that. And guys, the twirl factor on this dress is absolutely insane. It's so good. It is so good. Again, the bodice is fully lined. It was a really easy sew, to be honest. And I made it in this gorgeous Viscose Spandex jersey from Style Maker Fabrics. They no longer have this fabric. I bought it when they were like an end of bolt type sale that they were having. But she's got some beautiful ones that are over on the website that I will link down below. Anyway, absolutely adore this dress. It feels like summer to me, and I feel beautiful wearing it. It's great for outdoor concerts. It's great for going out to lunch with friends. Just great for all sorts of things. And I think, take the ties off, I think the colors I could probably get away with wearing into the fall a little bit. So just throwing a little cropped jacket, like a jean jacket or any other kind of cropped typed jacket over this, or a cardigan or a sweater. And I think I could get away with going into the fall a little bit with this as well, which is very exciting. So super, super lovely. So let's talk a little bit more about the specific fabric. So this is a viscose spandex jersey. What does that mean? Viscose is a fiber that is created through a chemical process where they're typically turning wood pulp into a fiber. So there's a whole bunch of different variations on this. This also is synonymous with rayon. So rayon and viscose are the same thing, just two different names. Kind of depends on the part of the world you're living in, but they mean the same thing. That's what creates the fiber. And then obviously that fiber can go through different weaves, whether it's knitted together, woven together, all the things. You get into your tinsels and your lyocells. Those are a little bit more environmentally friendly because they're using recycled chemicals to turn that the base natural thing into a fiber. Bamboo is also comes in the same thing, where they're turning bamboo as the starting product that then goes through the chemical process to become a fiber. So it's all kind of the same thing. But what this means is that because of that, this tends to be a little bit of a heavier fiber. So what I mean by that is, if you were to compare a viscose spandex jersey, which means it's been knitted together, with a cotton spandex jersey, your cotton's going to be lighter, because the cotton fiber is just a lot lighter fiber than what this, I call this kind of like a hybrid, because it starts off natural and it's considered a natural fiber. It's just gone through a man-made process, but it's a heavier fiber. And because of that, that means that this type of fabric, in both its woven and knitted forms, is going to have some really beautiful drape, meaning that it falls in on itself. So that is kind of what viscose spandex is. Again, it's the same thing as rayon spandex. They both mean the same thing. So why are they wonderful to work with? Well, because of that weight, they do offer beautiful drape. So if you want real twirlability with that skirt, it's lovely. The weight of the fabric also causes it to drape beautifully over curves. And so it's not standing away from the body, it's hugging the body really beautifully, which can be really great depending on the patterns that you're using. And it's pretty comfortable. It's really comfortable to wear in the summer. It doesn't hang on to perspiration quite as much as cotton does. So it can be just a little bit more comfortable to wear in the summer sometimes. I do wear cotton spandex in the summer all the time, but this holds on to moisture, it wicks a little bit more than cotton. So anyway, beautiful fiber to wear. I can't get over this print and these colors. It just makes me so happy to think about this. All right, so let's talk about 5 tips if you are working with rayon spandex or viscose spandex. This was labeled as viscose spandex, which is why we're going with that terminology. But again, they are synonymous, mean the same thing. So number 1 tip that I have for working with this type of fabric is to wash and dry in the machines. Now, I will get some kickback on this, I know. The dryer is not a best friend with anything that has spandex or lycra content. It breaks it down over time. That is just what it is. Now, if you have quality viscose spandex over maybe cheaper versions, you're not going to get the pilling, but you can get some pilling if you are using a less, you definitely will get some pilling if you're using a lower quality viscose or rayon spandex, just to give you a heads up on that. And that is caused by the dryer. So you can choose to use the dryer or not. If you want to air dry, that's fine. The reason I enjoy using the dryer is that it shrinks things back up a little bit. So because this is such a heavy fiber, it has a tendency to grow throughout the course of the day, and that will, everything shrinks back up really nicely when you toss it into the dryer. So that is my number 1 tip. Again, people will disagree with this, and that's fine. If you prefer to do just to air dry for longevity, I totally understand that and respect that. I prefer to put my viscose spandex into the dryer though, because it does firm everything up and kind of puts everything back into place a little bit nicely. All right, number 2, you want to make sure that you are picking patterns that have some drape or that are meant to have some drape. What do I mean by that? You want to have patterns that are not meant to be very structural. So if you're wanting a boxy tee, don't use viscose spandex because it's not going to be boxy. It's going to fall in on itself. Now, if you're looking for a slouchy tee that kind of hugs your curves nicely or something with a cowl neck, absolutely, rayon spandex or viscose spandex is fantastic to use. If you're wanting a really twirly, swirly skirt, viscose spandex is fantastic for that as well. Dolman sleeve garments, I think, are really beautiful with a viscose spandex because you don't get, the sleeve isn't standing away from your body like it would with something with more structure, such as a cotton spandex. It will mold across your shoulder, causing like beautiful drape and that sort of thing. So you do want to be conscious of what you are using this type of fabric for. I would also not want to make a bodycon dress out of viscose spandex because it's all of its properties of hugging your curves and being beautiful as it drapes across your body also means that it will show lumps and bumps. So I would not necessarily want to do something that is very form-fitting without any hiding of things, unless it's draping over my body, like with a cowl or something like that, or ruching, then absolutely, this would be beautiful. But a straight fitted bodycon dress is going to show lumps and bumps, and that is just not my preference. But anything, yes, so you may want to stay away from it for those type of things. But swishy skirts are fantastic, such as this, and again, anything with a cowl or some beautiful ruching or, things like that. Absolutely, this is the fabric you want to use. Okay, number 3. When cutting out this fabric, while you can cut on the fold, and I often do, pretty much all the time, you want to make sure whatever cutting surface you're on, that none of your fabric is hanging off of that cutting surface. So if you cut on a kitchen table or a dining room table, you want to make sure that the extra yardage is folded neatly also on top of the table. Why? Because this is a heavy fiber, anything that you have hanging off the end of a table or off, wherever you're cutting is going to be stretching that fabric, which means you're going to cut out your piece and then that weight's going to go away and it's going to jump, meaning it's going to shrink a little bit in size. So you're not going to get a real accurate cutting of your pattern pieces. Also with that, and we're going to talk about hems here in just a second, but yeah, as we remove any kind of weight, it's called the jump effect. It will sometimes bounce a little bit because that excess weight is not pulling things down. So you always want to make sure that you've got all of the yardage that you're working with on top of your cutting surface, so that it's not stretching the fabric unnecessarily as you're doing your cutting. You want to make sure those pieces are nice and accurate when you are cutting things out. Number 4. Also, because of the weight of the fabric, you will behoove yourself to stabilize shoulder seams, especially tops that have a sleeve on it. If it doesn't have a sleeve, not as necessary, and waist seams. I can't remember if the Grafton does, but the Irving does have suggestion for sewing clear elastic or some kind of elastic into that waist seam, which is what I did. I can't remember if the Grafton does or not. I was just following the Irving's instructions when I was making this because the skirt of the Grafton is just a circle skirt. But yeah, you want to make sure that you stabilize those because again, the weight of the fabric is going to pull things, make things grow throughout the course of the day. Sleeves can be heavy on those shoulder seams and make a shoulder seam sit way off the shoulder when maybe it wouldn't if that seam had just been stabilized. I like to use woven stay tape to stabilize my shoulder seams. You can also use clear elastic. When it comes to the waist though, you absolutely want to use something with a little bit of elasticity because that does need to be able to go over your bust or whatever or up over your hips in order to fit in at that waist. So you do need to make sure you have the stretch in any horizontal seam lines. So clear elastic is definitely the choice I would make for any kind of waist stabilization. But really those two are the most important. If you happen to be making a pair of pants, you may want to also stabilize the crotch curve. Although if you're making pants out of viscose jersey, they need to be really like flowy pants, like a wide palazzo, which absolutely works. But if you want to keep that crotch from growing over the course of the day, sewing in I do twill tape on my linen. I think that might be a little heavy for viscose, but again, that clear elastic into that seam, or with that crotch curve, you could also iron in some fusible woven stay tape into that crotch as well. All right, tip number 5. You want to let your dresses hang, especially if you have really any kind of hem. Let them hang for 24 hours before you do any hemming. Because of the weight of this fabric, again, it can cause hems to become uneven. Now, like I mentioned with the jump effect of when you want everything to be on a certain surface when you're cutting, if you're cutting a lot off the bottom of the hem, the same can be said for a hem. So as that weight goes away, it can make a hem pop up a little bit shorter than maybe you intend. This happens to chiffon layers on like bridesmaids dresses and prom dresses all the time. I learned this trick or this phenomenon in the bridal workroom when I worked there. You have to be very careful cutting chiffon because the same thing, it will stretch with the weight, and then you take off, if someone needs to lose 6 inches off the bottom of their dress, all of a sudden you cut off 7 inches because of the jump when that weight's removed. So you do want to be a little bit careful there, but definitely let your hems hang for a little bit before to make sure that they stay even before you do hem. Also, letting them hang a little bit to determine, oh, that's actually a little bit longer than I want, and maybe taking that up a little bit higher. But let those hang for 24 hours before you do any of that trimming. Okay, those are my 5 tips for sewing with viscose jersey. If you have found these tips to be helpful, I want to remind you that we do have a thanks button below this video that's just like a tip jar. So you can hit that thanks button and give kind of a tip if this is something that has been helpful for you. But also remember, if you want more help with sewing with knits, we do have that free knit ebook over on the website, and I will have that linked in the description box below. Or you can go to our website, tomcatstitchery.com. It's right there on the front page. We'll have a full blog post about this as well. Blog resources, it's all right there on the top of my website at tomcatstitchery.com. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. I hope you have enjoyed this one and found it helpful. And I will see you guys next time, but until then, happy sewing.